This is really not how I wanted to kick off December. Yeah, I'm going to jump on a little bit of a bandwagon. I'm going to talk about Article 13, which is something you may have heard about. Depending on where you live, you may have heard about it more than other places. I'm going to try and keep this really, really succinct. And like I did when I did my net neutrality video, I'm also not going to monetize this because I want this as a message that gets out as far as it possibly can, and I don't care about making money off this. That's not the point. So, Article 13 is a European Union regulation that is going to alter it's going to alter and specify the responsibilities when it comes to copyrighted content being uploaded onto anywhere on the internet. And to simplify this as best I can, if you want a much more detailed video, I recommend the film theory video, which I'll link to up there. MatPat did a pretty thorough job if you want something in more detail, but condensing it as best as I can. What is happening, and let's be clear, Article 13 has already passed. This is something that's happening. What hasn't happened yet is the wording has not been finalized, and that's where we're potentially in a really huge amount of trouble right now. So Article 13 is looking to codify and make very specific what platform holders platform holders are people like YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, etc., what they are required to do in order to be in compliance with copyright regulation. Now, an earlier draft of it basically made it pretty specific in terms of what the expectations were in order to quote-unquote be acting in good faith. And it was basically what a lot of them were already doing, especially a place like YouTube. Basically the way it was worded originally, YouTube's internal copyright system that already scans all the videos that gets uploaded, flags them for copyright, and then deals with them once they're up, that would have been sufficient. That has been removed, leaving it incredibly vague. And if it's vague, that leaves the copyright holders, and let's be very clear, copyright holders are not the original artists. Copyright holders, basically for anything that isn't self-published, are massive media companies. It's Disney, it's Nintendo, it's Sony. These are copyright holders. They basically then hold all the power because when in good faith is vaguely defined, they get to set the terms because the law is being written in their favor in terms of giving them firmer grounds for what does or doesn't constitute a copyright violation. What does that mean in practical terms? Well, it means that now, whereas previously the actual platforms, nobody could go after the platforms for copyright stuff getting uploaded as long as they were removing it once they saw it. It was the guilty party was the people who uploaded it. If this goes through, the platform holder is now responsible, which means it becomes in their best interest to not even allow stuff to get uploaded in the first place unless it can be proven that the person uploading it holds the copyright for any and every element of a product that is being uploaded. So, I mean, I don't use video clips, but even still images have copyright. So theoretically, if I wanted to put up a Doctor Who video and, I put up the Doctor Who logo as in any part of the video, I would need to expressly show that I had the BBC's permission to do that. Otherwise, I could never get the video uploaded in the first place. And if it sounds weird that I'm talking about a European regulation when I live in the US and YouTube is based in the US, what you need to realize about companies, any company, is when they are working on a multinational scale, when they are working in multiple markets that have different regulations, basically no company does it differently in each region. What they do is they meet the restrictions and the requirements of the most restrictive market, because if they meet the qualifications of that means they already meet the qualifications of everybody else. It's not worth the time and effort for them to handle Europe differently than they handle the US and Canada or China or what have you. So they meet the standard of the most restrictive market, which is about to become the EU. And that means that even though I'm in the US, this would still affect me. This really affects basically anybody and everybody who is not uploading 100% original content. So no video essays, no movie reviews, none of that. Absolutely, like the vast majority of certainly what I watch, probably most of what you watch, gone. All gone. So why am I, who I don't have a huge platform, even talking about this? Well, looking at my demographics, about 40% of my viewers are in the EU, and I could be off about this, but I do believe that until Brexit is finalized in March of next year, that the UK still has MEPs. These are the representatives that are voting on this in the EU for this vote, because the vote on the language is supposed to be finalized before the end of this year. So that means about 40% of the people who regularly watch my stuff basically have their equivalent of getting in touch with their member of Congress, getting in touch with their representative, finding out whether they're voting in favor of the language as it currently exists, find out why, pressure them as to what else can be done. And if you don't live in the EU and don't have MEPs that you can reach out to and contact in some way, shape, or form, then the best thing that you can do is spread the word so that as many people as possible hear about this. Because I know that people on the internet we can be alarmist whenever it comes to the potential restrictions on what it is we do. But we've been losing these battles lately. We went through a pretty good string of when the US tried to introduce some really potentially highly restrictive stuff that we were able to kill it. We haven't had that string lately, and I'm losing my optimism, and I'm losing my faith that we'll be able to beat it back if we don't beat the drum and spread the word and everything else. So if you are in the EU and you are of voting age, I would implore you to please get in touch with your MEP who is going to be involved in this vote. Find out where they stand, find out why they stand where they do, and make your voice heard. They're supposed to be representing you in some way, shape, or form, so make sure that they know what you feel. And if you're not in the EU, spread the word as best you can. The hashtag being used on this is Save Your Internet, because this stands to really rewrite and massively restrict almost every major platform. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, Tumblr, anything anybody uploads almost anything onto, it's probably just going to go away. And the only people who will have the power to upload anything will be the people who can prove that they already hold the copyright before they even upload it, which means the internet won't become the place that you go to for things besides corporate media. It'll become like cable television, network television. It'll become the exclusive domain of massive companies, and all the creators that make the internet the amazing, diverse place that it is will be gone. And again, I really don't think I'm exaggerating, because I don't work at a media company, but I do work at a company that has to deal with regulations in various markets. And what we do is we build to the most restrictive regulations. That is what YouTube will do. That is what Twitter will. That's what they will all do. And if the regulations, as currently worded in the vague way that they are, in a way that gives copyright holders basically 100% of the power to dictate whatever they want, it becomes not worth it for any of the platform holders to even fight them on it, because the regulation is so heavily favored to these massive companies that hold the copyrights. So remember, when people say copyright holder, they're not talking about the little people. They are talking about the companies. That is who benefits from this, and that is who will take over. That's all who will be left. And everyone else could potentially just be wiped out. So, yeah, that's it. And getting more specific wording, bringing back the wording that was in the regulation before, does not mean it's the Wild West where everyone can do whatever they can with copyright. It was a perfectly serviceable piece of regulation before, as worded. It has now been vagued up to the point that it is ripe for abuse. And if anyone remembers the days of Napster and things like that, you know that you give these companies the ability to abuse the system, and they will. Copyright strikes on YouTube were abused left and right until it got tightened up, and even now it's still not great. You give them the ability to abuse it, and they will. And that's what it currently does. So, whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it, the usual spiel. But I don't think there's really that much of a discussion to be had on this. Spread the word. That's what I'm going to say. Spread the word, because I love what I do. This still isn't my living. It's a long way off from being that, but I love doing this. And I don't want to have to stop doing this. So, until next time, this council is adjourned.